and sample size for mu, 1 mean. We can compute either the power or the sample size with all of the other information given to us in Minitab. We'll be looking at the continuous one variable. The first thing that we should do is summarize this data. We can do that by going into Stat, Basic Statistics, Display Descriptive Statistics. I'll select column C5, and the statistics that we are interested in will just be the mean and the standard deviation. We need to know these to compute either the power or the sample size for a hypothesis test for mu, the population mean. Other pieces of information that we need to know are the hypotheses for the desired hypothesis test, whether it's one or two-sided, and the null value. We'll be looking at the null hypothesis mu equals 160 compared to the alternative mu does not equal 160. We will also be using a significance level of alpha being equal to 0.05. Let's say we're looking for a sample size to achieve power of 0.80. With this information, we can go to the Stat menu, select Power and Sample Size, and we'll choose one sample Z, because we also know the population standard deviation sigma is equal to 20. I'll enter that population standard deviation first. We were also given the power value of 0.80. If you're given the value of beta, power is 1 minus beta. Now sample sizes is what we want. We're going to leave that spot blank. Then Minitab will know that's what we're looking for. The next thing we need to fill in is this called the differences. For one mean, this will be the difference between the sample mean and the null value, 160. We'll use the absolute value of that for the difference. Since we computed x bar to be 162.28 and the null value is 160, the difference is then 2.28. Next, we can choose the Options button to make sure that our alternative hypothesis and alpha level of significance are set correctly. We're doing a two-sided test, so the default not equal is already selected for us, and the significance level is also correct. The power curve will be displayed automatically. I'm going to unselect that. We will just look at the sample size calculation. At the bottom of the output, Minitab reports first the difference, then the sample size. That's what we're looking for, 604. Then it tells us that our target power was 0.8, but the actual power is a little bit more than that. Let's consider the same situation, except that we don't know what the population standard deviation is. Instead, we'll have to go back to our computed sample standard deviation, 19.21. If we have that power of 0.80, we can compute the sample size to meet the necessary conditions for our hypothesis test by going to Stat, Power and Sample Size, one sample T. We will use this one because we do not know the population standard deviation. This time, the standard deviation that we fill in needs to be the 19.21. Power is still 0.80, and the difference is, that's the difference we calculated of 2.28. That's our sample mean minus the null value. And then we can enter in the absolute value of that. Under options, we can check that the alternative hypothesis is the correct direction and that the significance level is correct. Once again, I'll click the graph button and uncheck the power curve. I'm just looking for the sample size. Here we can see we would need a sample size of 560.